Oh, Buddy Wayne. All right, let's talk about this 24/7. And then we'll play a few more songs and wrap it up. So, what did we watch? We watched Mickie James about 76 times.
They did the exact same Mickie James promo for each one of these matches. She was standing there being the world's hottest baseball player, saying this is her Halloween costume. Asked us if we would like to see her knocking on the door dressed like this. And as you noted, this is a porn. This is the intro to every porn ever. Then she threatened to hit us with her bat or something, I don't know. And then she introduced the matches. Odd.
It was odd indeed. Let's talk about these matches here very quickly. As noted, we watched a bunch of different ones. I believe they were in the shorties area of the program guide, Delia Bob. First, we saw Cactus Jack versus Arachnaman. January 9, 1992, WCW Main Event. Arachnaman was a low-rent version of Spider-Man, played by Brad Armstrong.
Mickey was appalled by this gimmick.
And by the time this match was over, I decided Arachnaman had to have been the best worker in WCW in 1992. He was great. Mick Foley was fat, although remarkably agile and mobile. And he actually was working during this match. You would never know this was the guy who made his name off hardcore matches. He was a wrestler, he grappled, he exchanged holds, and then in the end they fucked up the finish, and Jack won holding the tights. What can you do?
We talk about guys who are deceptively big. Mick Foley looked enormous in this match, like 6'9".
I've said this many times.
But yes, Brad Armstrong was awesome as Arachnaman. He was also posing like Spider-Man at literally any opportunity. They would go to a lockup and back up, and he would strike a Spider-Man-like pose. It was really quite an impressive dedication to the art. And that being said, the match was pretty crappy, and the finish was blown, and nobody cared, and it was a failure in every way.
Buddy Wayne and I did a show in Idaho once, and Mick Foley was there, and I met him, and he is so big, Vince. He is so much bigger than you. He's like, remember when Craig had the big hair?
Yes.
Foley, I think, was bigger.
Really?
Like all over.
I've only
a gigantic human being.
Yeah, I've only met him one time and he was sitting down, but even then, yes, he just exudes bigness.
He is a large, large man. Randy Savage versus Doink the Clown. August 2nd, 1993. I was not going to watch this match until I saw that the preview stated it was 18 minutes long. My curiosity was piqued. I watched the match, and I will say this. As stupid as the gimmick was, a clown, a wrestling clown, the circus on Monday Night Raw, as stupid as this gimmick was, Matt Bourne could work. He was great in the role. The heat that the clown got working over the other clown was amazing. And it wasn't like it was out of this world heat or anything like that, but the fact that it's even got heat. A clown versus Randy Savage. Endlessly fascinating. So, in the end, this ended up being like a great TV match that just happened to have one guy dressed up in a green wig with face paint and bells
and
or whatever he wore.
Stars.
So, Doink finally missed a big-ass cannonball off the top or something. Savage rolled outside, went under the ring. From out the other side came a midget in a Macho Man outfit. Not just a midget in a Macho Man outfit, but a midget in a Macho Man outfit wearing a Macho Man mask. This was the most terrifying entity I've ever seen.
Now, here's what this is the key detail. This mask was designed for an average-sized person's head. So when the Macho Midget came out wearing this, his head was suddenly like 8 sizes too big.
Yes.
And was Randy Savage.
Remember that?
Jesus.
The dwarf from Argentina, or whatever it was on the internet a while back? The kids that were outside and they filmed the midget with the hat on. The gnome. The creepy gnome. That skittered across the street. I think this thing was more scary, actually. So, Doink, however, began laughing uproariously at this creepy gnome, and Savage snuck into the ring and small packaged him for the pin. What a battle.
I was just happy to see
I became a fan during this era. It was a little bit before this era, but the point is I survived this era. My fandom did not... I did not go on and do better things with my life.
I can remember my buddy Jim has... he watches wrestling off and on. He will watch it for like a month every year and then give up on it, and it's been that way pretty much since he started. But I remember in high school once, he asked me, so, anything interesting happening in wrestling these days? And I said, completely deadpan, Crush is feuding with a guy named Doink the Clown. And he put his head in his hands and he walked away. That was the end of the conversation.
Yeah.
So I was happy to see this because we got to hear the evil Doink music, which is one of the most underrated wrestling theme songs ever. As he made his way down to the ring, Vince McMahon at least 3 times used the phrase evil clown. To make it clear, this is not a nice clown or a friendly clown. This is an evil clown. So they had the match. It was really fun. It went 18 minutes. I don't know.
Should have just done what AAA did and just called him Murder Clown.
Murder Clown. So I don't know if the 18 minutes counts the commercial breaks we didn't see or not, but at no point did this really feel like it dragged.
No.
It was a really good match.
A thumbs-up match.
And given how good the match was, and it was in the era when Raw was doing smaller buildings, this looked kind of like an armory. It was packed, but it was not an arena or anything, and it really felt like, and this will sound silly, but it felt like a Ring of Honor match with the goofiest gear ever.
Yeah.
But the match was really fun, and Savage won, and all was right in the world. This is the best thing we watched on 24/7 this week.
And then the midget bit Doink on the ass somehow while wearing a mask.
Yes.
Don't know how that works.
He's a powerful, powerful midget. Also in here...
Shark Boy used to do that, too.
That's a powerful, powerful shark. Vince McMahon on commentary noted here that Randy Savage was a surefire future Hall of Famer. Duly noted.
Legion of Doom versus The Rockers for the WWE WWF Tag Team titles. Superstars of Wrestling, December 28th, 1991. This went about 4 minutes. Rockers tried a bunch of wacky high spots, and Animal and Hawk also were not midgets, or not gymnasts, or midgets, or gymnasts. So they tried a bunch of wacky rolls out of everything, and it looked very, very awkward. They got the heat on Shawn. He finally tagged Marty. Marty ran wild. And then they had the most awesome finish ever based on what they were doing. This was back when things actually made sense. Shawn and Marty reverse a whip. Shawn backdrops Marty, who lands on his feet. They dropkick Hawk, I believe. Marty runs at Animal and does a crossbody, and Animal catches him. Shawn is going to dropkick Marty so that he will fall on top of Animal for the pin. However, as he throws a dropkick, Animal turns around, so Shawn dropkicks Animal, who falls on top of Marty for the pin. So they're double teaming fucked up. Shawn, and again, this is why wrestling was so much better back then. Shawn then starts blaming Marty. It's your fault. Even though he's the guy that threw the fucking dropkick and cost his partner the match. He starts yelling at Marty that it's all his fault. They could have won the tag titles. The announcers, I don't even know if they even bothered to say anything because it was all the way that Shawn was doing the thing and Marty was doing the thing. Shawn yells at him. He slaps him across the face. He slaps him again. Marty just stands there. Finally, Marty gets pissed and he reaches up and grabs Shawn by the throat. Shawn drops to a knee like a coward. Marty puts his hands on his hips and walks out of the ring. The fans boo Shawn. It was a perfect fucking setup for the barbershop, which everybody still remembers to this day. Because again, this was back when you did slow build angles over a long period of time. You didn't change your fucking mind because the people weren't getting behind Marty enough, or because Shawn wasn't getting enough fucking heat. You just went through with it. This was great.
This was really, really great. The match... I feared a Styles Clash, especially since I think Legion of Doom were technically also babyfaces at this point. I feared disaster, but it was mostly fun. The Road Warriors would do power moves, such as the point where I know it sounds silly to talk about Animal press slamming Marty like we're supposed to be impressed or surprised, but he lifted Marty Jannetty like it was nothing over his head. Just like I would have to work harder to lift my jacket over my head than he lifted Marty Jannetty here. And then the Rockers would get beat up for a while, but they would do a bunch of flips and rolls and double teams, and it felt the story was they always had the Road Warriors off balance because they were being a better tag team than these two giant lumbering men, and everything was going their way until the very end when Animal just did a little half turn and he ended up on top of getting the pin. So It needed to be. I could have watched this match for like 3 times as long, which only would have been 9 or 10 minutes. But for what we saw, it left me wanting more. And then the angle was perfect, and it led to it's one of the most famous turns of all time. So there you go.
Oz. That's all I have to say.
We watched Oz.
Oz versus Ron Simmons. Oz, of course, was Kevin Nash. The preview for this said the match was 14 minutes long. This I had to see. Great American Bash, 1991. Mickie James opened up the segment and said that the Oz get-up, quote, "It's pretty silly if you ask me." No shit! Oz came out of a green castle to the theme to Edward Scissorhands, I believe. He was dressed up as the Great Oz. He had a mask, a beard, a huge hat.
A green robe.
A green robe.
Huge nose, bushy eyebrows.
Yes. He was accompanied by the Great Wizard, who sadly was not Ernie Roth. It was Kevin Sullivan. They got to the ring. They took off the getup. Ron Simmons came out. Nash was very young, very wide, a little chubby, fucking god-awful in the ring. You think Nash is bad nowadays? My God.
He is significantly better now as a cripple than he was when he was healthy.
Nash is Vader. He's Brock Lesnar at his peak.
He is Taker now.
He's Undertaker on his best day. He was horrible. They fucked up a drop toe hold, which may have been about the 8th of Nash's 256 knee surgeries. It took 3 attempts for Ron Simmons to clothesline him out of the ring. Nash may have blown out his knee again. This was so much worse than the Dump Matsumoto match last week.
Oh, God. It was funny because I actually asked you that at one point. Is this worse than the Dump Matsumoto match?
This is right before the 3 clothesline attempts.
And that was when Ron Simmons tried over and over again to clothesline Kevin over the top rope. And then finally he did, and he appeared to blow out both ankles and both knees.
Nash got the heat. It was wretched.
He used very dramatic axe handles.
False knees is the only way I can describe it. Fake knees to the abdomen.
They were bad.
And then Ron made a comeback and hit 3 football tackles, which Nash, the worst bumps you've ever seen. Like, worse than wrestling school first day trainee bumps. And then Simmons pinned him. An abortion of a battle.
This is traumatic. I am not yet emotionally recovered from this.
This was so much worse than Hulk Hogan and Ultimate Warrior last week. Oh, my God.
This was grand incompetence. And the fact that it opened with, I don't even know, the circus? The Magical Mystery Tour that is Oz's entrance, it just had to be seen to be believed. And I saw it back in the day, and I had to see it again to recall how horrible it was. Now, here's the kicker about this whole thing, everyone. This wrestling match right here that went for 14 minutes and was never any good, was on pay-per-view. Green American Bash.
Yeah.
Good Lord.
Bad.
Thumbs down.
Profound badness. And that's the end of this show, everybody. On that happy note, on that fine note of the Great Oz, we are ending the show. Actually, ironically, Great Oz, this coming Friday, R.D. Reynolds is going to be on the show.
There you go.
My co-author of Death of WCW, signed copies of which are available on the front page of WrestlingObserver.com right now. R.D.'s going to be on. We're going to talk about the Great Oz.
You must talk about Oz.
Oh, I will.